So our first movie is the new release, and it is called Ready Player One, directed by Steven Spielberg.
All
Now,
right.
Ivan, you just saw this today, I believe. So why don't you
Yeah,
start
I
off
saw it
first,
earlier
since you have a
today,
more
so it's
recent
kind of fresh in my
opinion?
mind.
Yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead. Take the
Yeah,
floor,
Ready
man.
Player One is a new Steven Spielberg movie based off the book Ready Player One. And so when the trailer came out, I was really excited to see it, not just because of like all the pop culture references, obviously, which are in there. And I was actually researching this. I was thinking like, how did they pay that much money to have like all these like references in there, pretty much?
Yeah, really.
The thing is, they're all owned by Sony. Or majority of them are owned
Oh,
by Sony.
that makes sense. Okay.
So basically, they could just use that and not like pay anyone or pay any other company to
Yeah,
use it.
Sony doesn't have to pay anybody if it's
And then
their own
another
property.
thing that I had going into it was that Steven Spielberg is making an action sci-fi movie because like Steven Spielberg, like before he became a huge director, that was like his thing. He had his first movie I think was called Duel. Don't quote me on that. I think it's called Duel. But basically, the whole genre of that movie is action. So he started off as an action director, and then as he got more famous, became started to do more of those like war movies, like War Horse, and other like politically oriented movies like The Post. But this
Hmm.
one's like he's back to his roots. He's back at his roots making an action movie. And what I think of it, I thought it was really good. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad. It was just really good.
Okay. Okay.
I had a lot of fun watching it. It was a really fun movie. What do you think of it?
I did not think it was a really good movie, but I thought it was a pretty good movie. So that's, I mean, close
Yeah.
enough. Um, if you want my overall opinion on it, just sort of summarized, I would say visually this film is really well made.
It
I
is.
mean, I
It's
mean,
a
like the CGI in it is pretty seamless. It's a video game world, so it's a really good setting to have a very CGI driven movie, because a lot of times I don't like movies with too much CGI, but this was a great sort of setup for a movie with great CGI. And I saw this movie in 3D, and it's one of the few movies I would actually recommend watching in 3D because it gives
really.
you more of that. Well, yeah, it's about VR, so it's sort of that whole like interactive VR experience. And I would not recommend most movies to be seen in 3D, but that movie for sure. As for the story, that's sort of where I have a little bit, not really issues with it. I just felt like I didn't feel like the story was necessarily paced the best,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it wasn't like in a way that I thought, man, this like ruins the movie, man, this is like really dragging. But it was like the first 30 minutes or so sets up the world really well, sets up the characters really well, and sort of gives you, I think, a good sort of like introduction to this world, and you get to know this main character, and I think it's a really good setup. A lot of great movies have really good setups, and some movies, aren't as good by the end. Um, but I felt like, in terms of pacing, the first 30 minutes was really great, really gripping, really interesting. This world was really cool. And then as it goes on, I thought the middle was still pretty good, pretty solid. There were a couple scenes that maybe felt like they were dragging on just a little too long, but overall, like, still really gripping. But then the third act for me just felt like just so much just action, constant action, just throwing like a ton at you all at once, and it was still visually very interesting. I just felt like the climax could have gotten done a little faster. It could have, because really it's like that last sort of like key they're getting. It was like
yeah.
the other two keys, like I like really the story basically centers
Oh,
around them
I don't
getting
know.
three keys,
But
and
I just want to say, like, pretty much to summarize the plot of this movie, it takes place in this not dystopian world, but this very like bland, like just
hmm
not non fun world, and it follows this young man named Wade, and
hmm
Wade plays this thing called the Oasis, and basically what the Oasis is, it's kind of like an escape through VR into another world that the entire real world will play along with. And the creator of the game, I think his name's James Halliday.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
Halliday.
I'm gonna make sure I'm right on that. But yeah, it's this creator named James Halliday. He's a game developer, and he creates this game world called the Oasis. And basically, what it is where people can plug into their own VR headsets and just explore this massive world where there's just they can pretty much do almost anything they want.
Mm-hmm.
And and when he died, he pretty much gave his inheritance to a player that could find this thing called the egg.
It's
And
basically a Willy Wonka golden ticket when you really think about it.
Basically, that's what it is. Wade has to find 3 keys to unlock the area where the egg is.
It's basically a video game plot. It's like a video game plot, really, when you think about it. It's like collect these 3 MacGuffins and you get to the end and you get a prize.
It's a very creative movie.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a great setup, all of it. The only thing I was saying really about the pacing was I do feel like the third act, getting that third key is just like the other 2 are so well paced, like getting the first keys in the first act, getting the second keys in the second act, both really well paced, and then the third act, I just felt like it really dragged a lot. But that's just me, I mean,
here's the thing. Here's where I think it dragged, because the whole point of the movie is that, well, not the whole point, but the basic plot, you collect 3 keys to get to the final area. Each of those 3 keys resembles the act of the movie. So the first key is the first act, the second key is the second act, and then you realize, they're doing the same thing over and over again. You could get a little bit tired out by the third act. So I think that's why it got tiresome. It got tiresome for me too.
Yeah. And then my only other complaint, really plot-wise, was I felt like a lot of the characters were not very well developed, or it wasn't even that they were bad characters at all. Like, they were all well cast and were all, like, I think, like, had good character. It felt like there were sort of maybe some scenes that were missing, or it's like, for instance, Wade's family, like his aunt that he lives with, that's given like one scene, and then spoiler alert, like the family dies. It's sort of
that's what made no sense. So it didn't. That's not that it didn't make sense, but emotionally it didn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it made sense in terms of the story, but
spoilers all throughout, by the way. But he I'm not going to spoil it. He reacts a certain way that you wouldn't react in a situation like that.
With the family?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his whole family thing, it sort of, I guess I sort of got the impression that he spends all his time in the Oasis, so he's not really that close with his aunt or whatever, but in a lot of movies, typically, they usually sort of flesh out that relationship a little stronger, or maybe establish like what happened to his actual family, like his parents, or it's just kind of brushed over. And I don't know, maybe at this point in time, maybe Spielberg or whoever was editing it was like, oh, well, they've seen this, this cliche a million times. Let's just skip over it and make it go by quickly. But I really think if you had more of that like family aspect to it, especially since one of the main themes sort of the story, I feel like, was that Wade sort of becomes family in a way with a lot of these friends he makes over the course of this game. I think establishing maybe a bit more of that connection he had with his own family, or if there was no good connection there, that should have been, I think, explored a little more. And that's why I sort of think that the pacing kind of detracts a little bit from the characters. And then also like the character who's like his best friend, not the girlfriend, but the best friend. I feel like their relationship was a little rushed at first too, because
you mean I don't know how to pronounce her name, but Lena Waithe, the black girl.
Yeah, well, she was. He thought she was a guy or whatever at first, but then turns out she's a girl. Spoiler alert.
It's another thing I have with the movie is that like in the game they're like best friends and their relationship is really great, and their relationship is still really great outside, but there's just not enough of that shown in the movie in the real world.
Mm-hmm. I did really like though how we got to meet some of these characters in the game first, and then he meets them all in real life later on. I thought that was interesting. I did think it was kind of goofy though, and this was just me. I mean, everybody finds certain things goofy, and other people find it totally fine. But I thought it was really goofy when he meets his girlfriend in real life, and she acts like, all up until this point, she acts like, oh, well, I'm not this beautiful person in real life like I am in the game, and I'm not really beautiful and all this. And it's like, sort of setting up that maybe she's, unattractive or overweight or something superficial that would make her have a low self-esteem in real life, and therefore in this game it's like her escape where she gets to be beautiful. But then in the movie we get this reveal, and it's like, oh, she's also beautiful in real life, except she's got just like a little bit of a scar on her face, but otherwise she's completely normal looking and
Yeah,
very, very pretty. Like it didn't really feel like, I felt like they could have done a little more with that in terms of like,
and
if she's
maybe
gonna act like
like
she's
that too.
unattractive, then I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the book's like that too. Like I haven't read the book.
Same.
So maybe the book has that in there, and they put it in there because of that reason. But who knows?
Yeah. I don't
And
know. I
you're
just,
going,
yeah.
but like I know, like we're bashing. It sounds like we're bashing this movie a lot, but like it's actually a
No.
really good movie.
Yeah. I mean, these were just, issues that we had. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
typical to talk about. Um,
One of the things I loved about the movie was just like the actual like how much they showed the world off
oh,
and
yeah.
how big the world was based on the framing in the movie. Like, because a lot of the frames in the movies is that, like, for example, the car chase scene when they're there, not the car chase scene, but the racing scene when they're like in the right hand corner of the camera and they're very small, and then the world's just like bigger behind them.
Yeah. I really
Like,
felt like, in terms of world building, this this is one of the best like world building like movies I've definitely seen in a long time. Um, I haven't really seen a movie in a while that has really like given like actual time to develop like sort of a setting for a world. I feel like the last movie I really saw that was sort of like that was maybe Avatar, but that was, I mean, like almost 10 years ago. I feel like movies nowadays are, I know that makes me sound like an old person, but I really mean it when I say that a lot of movies now, I feel like there's always this whole like idea of like, let's get straight to the action. No one cares about the background or the backstory or like what this world is. And I don't know, maybe I'm just
and
a super
that's
nerd, but I've always liked world building as long as it's not boring. I mean, as long as they make it
and
interesting, it's
that's
cool.
something I think like Spielberg like definitely excels in.
For sure.
He's someone
He really
who
knows how to tell a
directs a
story
movie. He's a
visually.
great storyteller. He's a great world builder, but the complexity of the story is not going to be complex at all. It's going to be a very basic plot line, very predictable, but the world behind it, the setting behind it, and everything behind it is going to be like great.
Yeah. Well, Spielberg produced Jurassic World, Ivan, so I don't see why you didn't like that movie.
He didn't direct it. He didn't write it.
I know.
It's a big bullet.
By the way, we're gonna talk about Jurassic World 2 when it comes out. You guys
Oh,
be ready.
definitely. I'm not
Be
excited for it, but
ready.
I'm excited for it at the same time.
Oh, I'm excited just for seeing it with Ivan. Like, this is one of the few movies we're gonna see together before we review it. Like, oh god. Okay, so let's see. We got how much time we got left on the timer for Ready
We
Player
got
One?
about almost a minute and a half.
Okay. We haven't really talked much about the acting. What did you think of the performances overall?
In the world, the acting, good thing to bring up. In the world, as the avatars, they're really good. On the outside, real world,
Yeah, it was some of the acting was a little hokey. Like it kind of felt like Power Rangers a little bit.
yeah.
Like you
But
remember when we saw Power
slightly
Rangers?
better
It
than
was
Marvel.
sort of that acting a little bit. I don't know.
I mean, the only person I thought was like a really great actor was actress was the black woman in a way.
Yeah. What did you think of the villain in this movie? Like his performance, he was kind of hokey in my opinion.
I liked him in the first half, but then it was kind of hokey towards the end.
Yeah, like I felt like he had a decent setup, and he was this businessman, and when they sort of show like how determined he is to get like this egg and this secret, like um, I thought that was some interesting character development. But as the movie goes on, he gets more and more just comical, and they kind of outsmart him like really way too easily. Like,
I mean, there's a part of the movie where they were like saying how he used to be an intern for the main game developer, and I
mhm.
was like, oh, this is gonna get kind of hokey.
Yeah, it's
I
sort
definitely haven't seen that before.
yeah, it's sort of the like the guy who was there but wasn't successful and was always jealous, and he's
Hmm.
kind of an idiot, but Yeah, I mean, it's like
So,
I
final
thought the
rating.
actor was I thought the actor was good. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought he gave a good performance, but in terms of writing, he I feel like probably could have had more to work with personally. What do you think of the guy who played Wade?
He was in another movie I liked called Mud, and he was really
Okay.
great in that movie. But Ty Sheridan's his name.
Yeah.
But he was decent.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty like pretty standard, like not bad,
Yeah.
not great, just he fit the role well. He looked the
Yeah.
part.
Well, we're running out of time.
I felt like
So
his yeah, I'm about to end it. His I felt like his whole like crush on the girl at the beginning was a little weird. Like it was sort of like he was like, "Oh, I'm in love with her" and all this, and it's like it felt like a little kid or like a 10-year-old falling in love with her for the first time or whatever. It didn't feel like like he's supposed to be what, 18, 17,
a
20 or
teenager at the least.
yeah, I mean, and maybe he just is cast older than he should be, but he looked a little too old to be like having like a schoolyard crush or whatever. Like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
Mhm.
All right. So what is your rating? Final rating?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Um, I would say if it was just based on visuals, I'd probably give it like a 9. But mixing visuals and directing and story and writing overall, I would probably give it a 6, but like a high 6, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7.
Yeah, I was debating between 6 and 7. I just felt like uh
Because the thing
the
is,
pacing kind of the pacing and some of the weaker acting I felt like kind of just detracted from what could have definitely been like an 8, honestly.
yeah. All right.
But is that
That
all we
was
got to
Ready
say
Player
about
One.
Ready Player One? All right, awesome.